Good evening, everyone. I'm Jonathan, and I'm here with my wife and my child, and we are all great. We're all vegan, and we are all have we all have compassion for animals, which means that at least when I became vegan, I did not, I went from being vegetarian to being vegan. First time I became a vegetarian was in 1993, okay, 1992, something like that. And then I became vegan that same year. And then after that, I think I was doing it all for health purposes and everything. I was just getting into yoga and then entertaining the idea of physical immortality. And yeah, that was great. And then I went down south for a family reunion in 1994. I had gotten sick. I was eating crap. I was eating things like eggs and Domino's pizza, and that's the only thing that I was really eating. And there was no real vegetarian food for me to eat, like I had in Philly. I had some of the healthiest vegetarian food to eat, and that's where I'm from. And as a result, I got some kind of a worm, whatever. I ended up getting like a temporary, what was diagnosed as ulcerative colitis. Alright, and so between 1994 and 1995, I was sick. I lost, I don't know, I lost like about 50 pounds. I gotten down to like about 140, which is not my natural body weight. I'm more like 185, 190 is more appropriate for me. I'm about 200 right now. I also had gotten extremely fatigued. I had rapid heartbeat, and so I went back to eating meat for a while, for health purposes. When I went back to eating meat, I kind of felt like a part of me was missing. I felt kind of sad, sort of, I was happy to have health, but I did not feel complete. And that's one of the things that, kind of prompted me to move out of my house. In 1999, I literally hit a wall. And I was just like, I was really trapped. And I was partial caretaker towards to an elderly man who was my stepfather, who had slipped and fallen while he was on a cruise ship and hit his chin, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. Mostly, he could move his hands and use a walker a little bit, though. But that was pretty rough, and my mom aging too. So I spent a lot of my time just looking out for other people, but I've never really, looked at my own house. And so that prompted me to do something. So I moved away. I moved down south. And I wanted to become vegetarian again. I wanted to become vegan, in a purely vegan atmosphere where I was not tempted by eggs or meat and everything. My mom's cooking, which I used to, love so much. I still do, though, but I just don't eat the stuff that she does now. But yeah, when I had moved, I kind of felt, I was diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder, and I was diagnosed with depression also and anxiety. One thing that was lacking in my diet was leafy green vegetables, raw foods, vegetarian foods, and things like that. And so I became vegetarian again. And then I went from being vegetarian to becoming mostly vegan. And after a while, I moved to Asheville, and that's where I reside now. And I had joined Hare Krishna Temple, and I think it was there that I had decided that I did not want to eat any animals, not just for selfish reasons, such as my own physical health and success and survival. I wanted to become vegetarian just for love of animals, knowing that they are me. I am they, and they are me. And so, and having that compassion is what kind of fueled me to go towards being vegan, which I became a practicing vegan in 2004, and here I am. It's 2010, and I pray that this time that I don't get sick as a result of my dietary choices and everything, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job, regardless of what is going on with me physically and everything. But it's not about me. It's not about my success. It's about compassion for animals. Now, there's so many ways that one can be a vegan or vegetarian that'll ensure good health. Good health. I mean, talking about fantastic health. I don't necessarily believe that you should be a raw foodist necessarily, but if that works for you, that's great. But if some people with nature's first law, all those people were raw vegans, and if you look at them now, some of them eat things like moths and worms and stuff like that, which is fine. But they were convinced that was the way to go. And worms and moths are animals. Of course, you may eat bugs and things like that incidentally, but I personally do not want to take on the karma of eating another animal. And a lot of them have fallen off the wagon. They've fallen off the vegan wagon. And now most of them eat like dairy or raw fish or raw chicken and stuff like that. They're still raw, though, and everything. But they're not, they said that raw food did not give them did not make them feel healthy. Now, as a vegan, there's so many ways you can eat healthy. Okay, one of the things I definitely promote is DHA. Okay, DHA comes from the seaweed in the water. Okay, and that's what salmons get its nutrients from. And that's where most people who get fish oil, they say you need fish oil that needs DHA, which is good for neurotransmitters. You get fish oil, you're getting DHA is basically the same thing. So you don't need to kill a fish to get, the necessary effects. You could get omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 from evening primrose, also from crushed flax seeds by blending it up and putting it in your juicers, or just getting the oil from your local food market, your local natural food store. And also things I do promote eating a diet of 50% raw. I'm a hypocrite though right now, and I'm going to work to do better. I usually eat more raw in the summer. In the spring and summer, but right now it's winter, so I eat a lot of hot foods and things, but that's my seasonal diet, in the summer I eat mostly raw. And I urge you to eat a lot of fruits, okay? There's no worry about getting a candida scare, but if you eat a lot of fruit, your body's in balance, will take care of itself. So there it is. So raw leafy greens, okay, cooked leafy greens like kale, collard greens, and mustard greens. Garlic. Garlic is awesome. Garlic is a natural antibiotic, natural antiviral, and it can cure so many things like MRSA and H1N1 and things like that, if you take it religiously. And our son here is vegan, and he has lots of energy. Ife, can you say vegan? Vegan! That's right, buddy. That's my pride and joy. Ife, Gabriel LaFay Daniels. And he's proud of being vegan. So are we. So, just to let y'all know, vegan is back. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be hanging out for a while. We're committed to doing this, so if you wanted any advice or solidarity, just link us up, okay? And that's vegan-baby@blogspot.com. Vegan-baby@blogspot.com. Our blog is called The Proud Vegan Child, and that's it right there. Healthy as ever and proud. That's right, healthy. And vegan.
And vegan.
That's right, buddy.